Alright, I'm Mark Hoza. I want to show some of the parts of the flutes. Some people have questions about how to work with your flute. First of all, I'll show in the case, I often put these humidifiers in. The humidifiers can be used just to keep the flute from getting over dry if you're in dry climates, or you have to see some locations are very dry, some are over humid, so you can decide whether you use these or not. But the way these work is these go inside the bore of each joint, and they just keep it a little bit humid inside the bore. That keeps the flute humid on the inside, from the inside out, like when you're playing it. And they just come in like this. The cleaning rod's pretty self-explanatory. The stopper setting tool is something that you can use to set the stopper. The way that you work with your stopper is like this. It's just a pressure fit with an O-ring on the end cap, so that comes out. Take the end cap out and push. If you push out the north end, you can push this stopper out, which looks like this. It's got an O-ring on it as well. You'll notice that the O-ring is closer. If you look at the O-ring closely, you'll see the O-ring is closer on the side of the face. That's the face that you want to have facing down. You could use it backwards, but it just gives a little bit the seal on the end closer to the blowing side. If you put it in this way, so it goes in like this. You put the small side in first, push it in with your finger, and then you can push it down, get it close with the stopper setting tool. And then this line here is made at 19 millimeters for this flute, and you'll see that in the inside we put it so that it's right in the middle. You want to have the line right in the middle of the embouchure. So when the line's in the middle of the embouchure, when it's on center like that, now you've got it at 19 millimeters. That's what this tool is for. It's a stopper setting tool. And you'll notice with your flute, with most of my flutes, the grain goes through the whole flute, so you can match up the grain if you like. On the end cap, it's the same wood as the whole flute. If you have a tuning slide, the tuning slide is normally just together. You can just leave it together all the time. I have a design that allows for it to be kept together all the time. It doesn't really matter whether it's together or apart as far as the bore. The only thing that's at a risk of cracking is this section of wood, which could be repaired or glued or replaced later, but I designed this in such a way that it does allow for a degree of movement before it would crack. With the design that I have, I'll feature that in another video perhaps. Actually, I'll discuss it briefly. This section here is made out of, these are my tuning slide design. This section here is made out of a piece of brass rod, machined so that there's a 0.3 mil wall tube of about 50 mil going down here, and then it goes, if you look closely, there's it goes out. It's all one piece of brass, machined out of brass rod, that goes underneath this silver ring. The silver ring is for looks on this piece, so that you have sterling silver on the outside, but the actual tuning slide itself is made of brass, machined out of rod, And then inside here, for the sleeve, for the socket of the tuning slide, there's a Delrin or acetyl resin bushing inside a brass outer shell, which keeps the Delrin from expanding. I found that when I used just Delrin in this section, when it got hot from playing or a hot day, it would crack this piece of wood because the Delrin responds to heat, and it would get bigger and crack this section. So I encase the Delrin, I guess you would call it a Delrin bush, with brass tubing, a very thin layer of brass tubing that I make to size. Then when you put these together, it's just pressure fit to put it to roughly, well, where you know that it gets for your playing style with your embouchure, where you get your right pitch. Now that goes on there. You can leave that together all the time. And then you have the middle joint, if this is a 3-piece flute. So the middle joint. On this one I've made it so that you can find the silk. The end of the thread is sometimes difficult to find. You can usually find it by using your nail. If you need to change the thickness of this lapping, you find the end of the lapping, and it's just thread, so it wraps around, and then it goes down. So this has a mixture of beeswax and lanolin for the thread, and that I'll show you how to put on, just to keep that. Here, I'll get some to show how you work with that. So you can use, I usually put a piece that you can use in with it, in with your flute. Otherwise you can make this out of lanolin, a mixture of lanolin and beeswax, or just use cork grease for saxophones and clarinets. But that is a little bit light. I find this to work a little bit better. You just put a little bit on the lapping, and you mash it around and spin it around like this, and mash it in. When you use your hand, friction warms the beeswax and lanolin, and you'll find that it'll go right in, and give it a nice coating of wax. If you want to have the thread waxed so it's nice and it lasts a lot longer. It lubricates the thread so that you don't have the lapping getting dry, and the thread just I think it has a tendency to tear if you don't have wax on it. So it's better also, it gives a better seal and a better fit. So a bit of wax on the tenons every now and then, and just do it whenever it needs it. I really just do it whenever it needs it. It was actually looking a little dry because in shipping it, I had it tidied up. Okay, so here we have, if you line up everything, you line up the tone holes so it's like you like for your own fingers, for your hands, how you like to hold the flute. Otherwise you line up tone hole 1 and tone hole 4, and those lined up with the embouchure is about what you want. Everybody has a little bit of different preference what they want. I like to have the tone holes lined up, but you'll see that off-centered holes. You'll find that these two are the lineup holes. And when you look at it, you can see that they're all lined up. Just kind of eyeball it. And I'll play a little bit. I'm not as accomplished as a player, so bear with my playing. I'll try to give more of a demonstration of the flute rather than trying to play tunes. It also changes intonation. The intonation is set to be on best when it's warmed up, but it'll be close. Let's see. I think that's about it. I'll just close off. So Mark Hoza's Kything Flutes. That's at woodenflutemaker.com. I hope this helps. One thing I would like to say for everyone who has my flutes, please be comfortable taking out your stopper, because you want to take out the stopper to clean it. Often it works really well just to pop it out. Keep track of it obviously, but you take the end cap and the stopper off. Use the cleaning rod, put a cleaning cloth on it, clean it out fully.